So how many kids do you have?
4. I have Jakob, who's my son with Bradley, and he's 28 now. I say it's 20. I forget. I've too many years. But he just had a birthday, and he's also a musician now.
Yes.
And everyone says he sounds like his dad. I always say, well, the Marley boys all sound like Bob, but Jacob's got a different path. He listens to different music, and everyone wants him to be Brad, but he's not Brad.
He's him.
But he's showing it. He's showing it by being true to his self.
He's very authentic.
Yes, and he doesn't mind doing his dad's songs. He does them really good, and it's great for Sublime fans. But Jake's he's gonna show the world some wow. He already has.
Yes,
wow.
100%.
He just signed with a major record label, Epitaph.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're one of the punk rock rad. So hopefully he's always played at the Cali Roots festivals and stuff, Cali Vibes, but hopefully he'll start doing some more rock shows.
He's about to go on tour with Common Kings, which
I
love. Common
Kings. They're Islander boys.
Yes.
And I adore them. You know, and there's so many groups in the Cali Vibe scene that
absolutely
are so good.
Yes.
But Common Kings are special, you know. Yes. But then after that, I told his manager, I go, put him on with rock bands. You know? His former band, Jacob's solo now, but his former band Law, they did twice. I think they did. There's a festival in Sacramento called Aftershock, or it's all metal bands, and they got written up in like a couple of different hard rock magazines as like a breakout band. So you really need to stick with that because that's his true audience.
Yeah,
you know, his audience at the Cali Vibes Festival. It started out because they're his dad's fans, and that's a big hurdle too to get over.
Yeah,
just to pass by his dad's fans and still get loved. You know,
yeah,
it's good. But Jacob's got a lot to show the world.
Yes, absolutely.
He's my first love. So. And then my second is Erica, Miss America, has no haircut. That's when she was a baby. Took her 2 years to get hair. So we used to go, Erica Miss America has no funny. Haircut. And she's 22. And then her next is her little sister, Mary Jane, who's like 18 now. And then my youngest is Rudy, my rude boy, and he's 15. He just started high school.
How is that for you? Your babies are growing up and leaving the nest, huh?
Sad. And I tell them all the time, like especially when they're all together, I'm like, I miss baby Jake and baby Erica, and it's not fair. You guys took them away. And they laugh, and I go, no, you don't even know. I was fond of them, and you took them away. You guys grew up and took away the babies. Like, that's not fair. We don't get to have like a memorial for them or a goodbye. They just grow up, and they don't remember them as babies because they were babies. I miss them, but they're rad. They're all different, and they're all really cool, and they haven't given me too much trouble except for Erica.
I love her daughter Erica. She is one of my best friends. Yes, she's amazing.
No, I'm proud of all of them. I'm really stoked because they all turned out really cool.
You talked about your first love. Who would you say that is? Like, if I were just to ask you bluntly.
Yeah, Bradley, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that beloved. You know, the word beloved just comes up because, you know, it's forever.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, when he first passed away in 1996, it was devastating. And a lot of people don't know we had gotten married 7 days before. We were together for a long time. We did everything backwards, back to that story. We hung out, you know, and then about a year after hanging out, I got pregnant with Jake. But at the time, he was living in this shitty little apartment on Alamitos in downtown Long Beach. Downtown Long Beach is awesome now, but back then it was ghetto. And it was awful little apartment. And he was on the road, off and on the road, and I had a job, and I didn't want to move to Long Beach. Like, there's no beach because they have the break wall, no waves.
You were in PB. You're like, I'm not going to Long Beach.
And look at your apartment. No way I'm quitting my job to come up here. And how ironic is that? I'm like, I'm not quitting my job. You can't even take care of yourself. And So I didn't move up there until I was like 7 months pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really against it. And then I had a Nissan hard body truck with stick shift and Brad. Like, where am I going to put Brad if I have a car seat in here? So I gave up my truck. It was like a lot. I was very independent. It was a lot to give up. But I love Long Beach now. I moved up there and had Jake at Long Beach Memorial. Yeah. And we got a Bronco, so it was big enough for everybody. And
everybody fits in the car. That's good.
And so, you know, I love Long Beach now. It's the second home. Jake lives there now. He moved when he was 18, and Mary Jane, his sister, lives with him, goes to college up there. But anyway, so back to the question. What was it? My first love.
First love, yeah.
And so moved up there, and then we had Jake. And then shortly after we had Jake, we moved to Surfside, which is between Seal Beach and Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
And that was his dream place to live. And they had just signed with a major label.
What label was
Universal? But it was Gasoline Alley, which was an offshoot of Universal. And you know, they were during that time, independent record labels was the thing. Like being independent was the thing.
Yeah.
And they had Skunk Records that they made up, and people could do that. It's kind of
Skunk
like
Records.
now.
Yep. My dad has stickers all over the wall.
It's legendary. And like now, kids doing stuff, musicians and everything online. You know, they
Absolutely.
don't need a record label. So they didn't want one, but they did want one. Brad really wanted to do that for them, and that's as soon as they signed, we went and bought the house, and then he wanted to get married really bad. And I'm like, but we have the kid in the house. What do we need to get married for?
Yeah,
and
you sound like my mom. My mom is still not married.
It's a big old hassle.
Yeah.
So we got married in Vegas.
Okay.
And since he just signed, Sublime just signed with Gasoline Alley, they wanted to put him on the road, a supporting tour, and it was like all these dates we picked would always interfere with what was going on with the band.
Yeah.
And so finally we got a little window. They were about ready to go on a Pacific Northwest tour, like Seattle and San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, all that. So we had enough time to go to Vegas, Tropicana. We had the wedding. It was so fun. Everybody came out for it. And
was my dad there at that time?
He might have. I can't remember. There's so many people there. He might have been. No, I don't think he was yet.
Okay.
I bet he wishes he was there. He might have been there.
Maybe.
I'm trying to picture the photos in my head.
My dad lived on Mama Troy's couch at one point in his life.
His little brother. He was tough. He took his lickings, because he was the youngest out of all of us.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so after the wedding, it was about 3 days after the wedding, he had to go with the boys from Vegas. I think they left from Vegas, I'm pretty sure, and go on the road. So it's this little mini tour. He was going to only be gone for like a week or two.
Okay.
And it was 4 days after that, 3 days, so 7 days altogether was when he passed away. So we were married for 7 days, and people were like, "Oh my God!" But we were together a lot longer than that.
Yeah, you got to share many memories.
And like it was devastating at the time, and I mean, the worst thing I ever went through. But now, 26 years later, 28 years later, holy moly, Jakob was 11 months old when he passed away. It's beautiful. Like when I remember him, or when people bring him up, or I walk into a place and his song, Sublime song comes on, that's him saying hi. And I remember when we get in arguments, about what he was doing, because people don't know he died from his drug addiction, which was a heroin overdose. And I get so mad at him if he'd slip up and go back on heroin. We were fighting. He'd always say, "But I'll always take care of you." And I'd be like, "What does that have to do with anything? You can't even take care of yourself." He meant it in hindsight. It's just crazy because he's taking care of all of us. And so I still feel him around.
I'm gonna start crying. Sorry. It's thank you for sharing.
I do feel him around. He's alive through the music, and we are fortunate enough to where the music's so good and iconic that they call them catalog bands, where they get fans every generation. They get new fans.
Absolutely.
And it'll never die. He's alive every time a song's played.
And I'm sure every time you hear it, you're just like, it's a happy reminder now.
Yes, exactly.
That's
it is a happy reminder. Yeah.
Good. Oh, that makes me so happy.
And like people being influenced by his music and sounding like him, or like just, I remember being in Rosarito, Mexico. This is like 15 years ago, and that kid came out of the liquor store, like probably 16, wearing a Sublime shirt. That stuff like that's just wow.
Yeah, well, you get to see it because you experienced it firsthand, and you got to see all the culture and the band develop, and then you see people representing it, and you're like, wow, like you're a part of it. You're such a big part of it.
That saying, well qualified to represent the LBC, is one of the songs.
Yeah.
That's so true. And then I had a friend, there's these, we call them ghetto malls. Okay. And it's like the uniform place where you get Dickies, and you get your Ben Davis, and your winos, and your flannels, your Pendletons. And it's like usually an indoor mall with stalls. And there's one, is it the Delamo? Yes. And so a friend of ours, hi Sinful, he was there, and I guess there was a sweatshirt that had the Sublime Sun on it, or one of the images. Yeah. And he's like, they bootlegged it, and he FaceTimed me, and he's like, I just want to let you know that this is bootlegged. And I'm like, right next to Eazy-E and Biggie, I'm like, we made it. Like, there's no other all-white group next to the heavy hitters that influence Sublime. And that, to me, is like, I'll never, ever bust them. That's just so cool. So I know. Let them bootleg away.
Even in, like, Urban Outfitters, you walk in, there's Sublime blankets, there's records, there's, like, literally everywhere. There's posters.
That I had spearhead and find and agree upon and work with them. Yeah. Because Bud the drummer, and Eric, the bass player, they're rock stars, and they're still doing their own thing. And they trust me enough to do the merch. And, we don't ever want to, like, sell out or do anything, whack. So things like Urban Outfitters, and we're in Hot Topic and Cotton On, and a lot of different accounts, and it's really cool. And we do collaborations with different companies like Solon. We do a collaboration with them and their T-shirts that they have their own artists do. And, and Bumpbox is a big, huge Bluetooth speaker. If you look up Bumpbox with 2 X's, and we did a Sublime one, and they do a bunch of different artists. Yeah, and so stuff like that where it keeps it current and in the flow, and and keeps the demand that the fans have to wear one of the T-shirts.
Is that what you do like for your job then? Is manage the Sublime, all the merch and everything?
Yes.
Got you.
With
that
Live
is
Nation,
so
I love it.
cool.
So fun.
Yeah, it's cool that you get a say in like everything that goes out.
Exactly. That's important to me.
Yeah.
I remember after he passed away, we didn't know how big they were going to blow up.
Yeah.
And it took a couple of years. Like Universal, Gasoline Now, they almost didn't even put out their last record, which is the self-titled one with his back on it.
Really?
Because he passed away before. Yeah. They just finished it, came home, and then we got married and all this stuff. So they hadn't printed it yet and or published it yet. And they almost didn't release it because it was awkward. And we were like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Thank God they did, because that was their biggest and grown-up record they did in a studio with a good producer and Paul Leary from the Butthole Surfers, which is one of their idol punk rock bands. And so it's really cool. And I remember I went into Virgin Records, which is no longer around, the one in Newport Beach, right off the 55. And I walked in, and there was this huge, almost 2-story high Sublime Sun out of cardboard or whatever. And like they would do that, like Tower Records, used to do that, where they'd have artists, make these big cardboard paintings replicating the albums. And I was like, what? I want that. And then there was a clock that had Sublime Sun on it. I'm like, what? So I called management. I'm like, this is not right. I want to know. We need to know what's being put out. That's really bootlegged. And like, he goes, okay, well, we'll get on top of it. And so that's when we talked to Live Nation and found out who was doing those things. And they could, because we didn't have any copyright on it at the time. Yeah. So we copyrighted everything.
As you should, And
I said, I don't ever want to walk into a place and see something that we don't have.
That wasn't you. Yeah. It wasn't yours. And especially if it's bootlegged, you're like, what is this? This isn't who we are. No, 100%.
So that doesn't happen anymore.
Good. It shouldn't
And I did get that big cardboard Sublime Sun. And I put it in my house.
Okay. Is it still in your house?
No.
You just moved.
Yes, I did.
How has that been?
I love it. I'm in San Diego still. I mean, I moved shortly after he passed away, about a year or 2 years after I moved to Hawaii.
Okay.
And it healed my heart, and my soul. And
being by the ocean.
Yep. And I was there for like 2 years, and then I started missing San Diego. I wasn't ready to go back to San Diego after Brad passed away, because everybody was like,
right there.
I wasn't okay, and I just wasn't ready. So enough time had gone, and I missed San Diego. So I've been in San Diego ever since.
Okay.
And but I just moved to a different neighborhood and bought a house, and it's in Point Loma, which is part of Ocean Beach, and it's awesome.
That's so fun.
Yeah, but I'm only like an hour and a half from Long Beach and Costa Mesa, where a lot of the clothing gets done, and still in the mix, and I love it.
Mama Troy is very stylish. We were talking before we started the interview. She loves to thrift. This is vintage. That's what she has on, which I think is super cool. I love hearing about like pieces.
And it's like so fun to find stuff. It's like treasure hunting.
Yes, absolutely.
When you find something that's, especially with vintage, it's one of a kind at the time, because it's old and it's in good condition and a good price.
Yeah.
So important. And I know there's a big surge of vintage shops right now, like young people having them. And
it's such a trend right now for people to go
San Diego,
thrift
we have
shopping.
the farmer's market. I know Ocean Beach is the big one. And there's all these vintage booths, and it's young people having them. And so the ones that have a good eye and have good stuff, some of them don't have, they just get anything, and then they overpriced, and it's awful.
You're like, what is this?
There's some people that know their stuff.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And it, taps into the whole like tiki culture, the people that do the tiki stuff, and they do all the vintage dresses. And, but thrift shopping is really cool too. That's my favorite too.
Yeah.
So just shopping.
Shopping in general is amazing. I agree. Besides managing the Sublime merch and stuff, have you ever had any other jobs besides the sushi restaurant?
Yeah. I used to own a House of Flies, which is from Costa Mesa. It's Black Flies Eyewear. And when I lived in Hawaii after Brad passed away, there was a House of Flies Honolulu. Okay. And I became really good friends with the boys that ran that. And it was so fun. Like any band or group or whatever, or like when they'd have the Pro Bowl, which is the big is it before the Super Bowl? I think it's before the Super Bowl, where all the all-star players all came out and they'd play against the East Coast. It was West Coast, East Coast, and it was always in at the Aloha Stadium in Hawaii, and it would be a huge party in Waikiki because all these big athletes were there, football players. And so everybody came through the House of Flies. It was a party every night. And so when I was going back to San Diego, I'm like, what should I do when I grow up? Yeah. And I'm like, I want to have a shop. I mean, what do I do good? I shop good. Yeah. And I wanted something that had all the cool clothing, all the urban, that's different, because there was a trade show called ASR, Action Sports Retail. And all of our friends, because of the music and before the music. I mean, it just all goes together. Skateboarding and
music,
motorcycles
dance,
and dancing,
yeah,
b-boy dancing, all that stuff. They all hang out together, you know. And the clothing we wear is different. It's street, and so I wanted something that had access to that street urban look. And there's Hot Topic just had gotten big, and they kind of took it from the boutiques to the mall, and I was like, no. I mean, the first time I went in a Nordstrom and saw a pair of Doc Martens, I was like, oh my god, this is awful. They go mainstream, but now it's cool. It's cool now, but I carried all that. I carried Doc Martens and Ben Davis and Dickies and like all the cool urban street, like tribal clothing is from San Diego.
Yeah.
There was Joker from LA, which was Cypress Hill's clothing line.
Okay.
A lot of the hip hop artists and punk rock artists, they all had their own clothing line in the early 2000s, and that was so fun. And so I had that for about 6-7 years
in Hawaii.
No,
in
I
Costa
took it
Mesa.
from Hawaii. Well, the boys kept theirs in Hawaii, but I took it to San Diego.
So
I had a shop downtown
Okay.
in the gas lamp, and it was right before the ballpark broke ground, the Petco Park. We were waiting for that to open up because we knew that they're doing so much more life downtown. So we were kind of relying on the club scene at night because it hadn't opened up. The ballpark hadn't opened up yet.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of daytime shopping. It wasn't a destination shopping place as it is now.
Yeah.
So we'd stay open until midnight on the weekends, and kids would run in. Because there's dress codes for a lot of the clubs. Do you have a long sleeve shirt or this or that? But a lot of cool stuff happened there. I mean, it was really fun. And then a spot opened up in Pacific Beach, my hometown, my stomping ground, right on Garnett, the main drag, and we moved down there, closed the one, like screw the ballpark. The ballpark did start getting built like about a year after we left, but I was really happy to be in PB, and so it was really cool.
Hometown.
Down at the beach to carry all those clothing lines that weren't carried because it's all Roxy and
Rip Curl,
and all that.
Yeah,
they were super stoked to have their clothing down at the beach.
Yeah.
And so I've stayed friends with all those guys. You know, they stayed really underground and urban still to this day. But a lot of them started out of their trunks of their cars or their garage, you know, and my heart goes out to those boys. So.
Yeah.
And then it was shortly about almost 10 years after I closed the shop. I was pregnant with Mary Jane, and I was just over it. I mean, it's tough. You have to go and take a chance on, you know, when you go to the trade shows, you see everyone's stuff coming out, each clothing line, and you place your orders, and you have to hope that it sells. And if it doesn't, plus the employees, drive you crazy. And, you know, it's just ongoing.
Being a businesswoman is probably so hard.
It was hard.
I give you a lot of credit for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it was fun. I miss it, but I don't miss it, you know.
Yeah.
So about 10 years after, I was in Barrio Logan, which is a neighborhood in Long Beach. In the 80s, you didn't get off on the exit for that neighborhood unless you lived there.
Got you.
It was just super, super gangbanging and, you know, hardcore. And one of my best friends, she called me and she said, "Do you want to meet me for lunch?" We'd always go pick different places around San Diego.
Yeah.
She goes, "Meet me in Logan at Salud Tacos." And I'm like, "Logan? Why are we going to Logan?" And so little did I know they'd started opening up, like a lot of the people that grew up in that neighborhood started taking over businesses and opening their own. And now it's amazing. So I want to take you there next time.
Yeah, I would love to go.
It's really authentic Mexican American, the Chicano culture, the lowrider culture, and the clothing, and it's amazing.
That's
good venues for shows, really good music, good food. Oh, the food is so good. So we'll go down there.
Yes, that would be so fun. I want to see your closet too, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
I want to come look at all your clothes that you've collected.
And because I had the clothing store, like my closet it's like a clothing store. I mean, I have to do everything, you know, like color and style and all that. It's fun.
I love that.
So and I love all the, you know, really individual, which is not really, it's a subculture, but they have a uniform. Even though you're being an individualist, and it's your own style, it's still kind of like all the rude boys and rude girls that listen to ska, they wear the Fred Perry with the wreath, you know. And the lowriders, they all wear Pendletons.
There's a certain style that you abide. Yeah,
it is, but it's awesome. It doesn't change over the years, which is really cool. So
my dad owns a lot of Pendletons.
Yes, Pendletons.
Who is your biggest musical inspiration? I know that's like such a loaded question, but
what genre? You know, like oh my God,
we could do one for every genre.
Like Prince, first and foremost.
Prince, okay.
Prince. I'm a Prince girl.
I love it. I
adore him, and I remember when I was a teenager, I was listening to him. All my homeboys would be like, "He sucks. It's stupid."
Oh my God.
You know, like he's a girl. You know, like they just didn't understand. I go, "Oh, he's the shit.
Yeah,
he's a baby maker." You know, his music is so good.
Yeah.
And then, and then I had friends that were into punk rock, and I love punk rock, and friends that were reggae. it just depends. But like first and foremost is the specials. That was my first on my own musical influence.
Yeah.
And not all my friends were into, and I started going to ska shows on my own. But the specials, every single song. And then for like hip hop, everything. I love Tribe Called Quest. I love old school like Eric B. Rakim.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I collected records since I was 14. My dad got me a gift certificate to Licorice Pizza, which was a record store way back in the day. Do you remember that one? What a great name, Licorice Pizza. And it became Sam Goodies, and then it's gone. But he got me a gift certificate for my birthday, and that's what started my record collection. I remember I bought The Clash, I bought Susie and the Banshees, Sex Pistols. I can't remember the last one. I think it was like Soft Cell, which was like a club. And they covered Supreme songs, and the Supremes were like a 60s Motown band. And this bizarre avant-garde group, two guys, Soft Cell, covered their songs, and they were so good. But yeah, and that started it. And I still collect records. It's so
still.
fun.
How was your trip to London? I know you got a few records. I know you got a few records there. What kind of records did you get?
I'm sorry, but I didn't even get homesick, and I was there for like 2.5 weeks.
Oh,
it's awesome.
That's okay.
It was my second time there. The first time I went there was 22 years ago, and it was at the end of a long trip. Like we were in Amsterdam and Berlin. By the time we got to London, we were kind of getting homesick, and we didn't know anybody that lived there. We just went to like the spots we knew of that we wanted to see, and there was still a Tower Records there. And I bought a Clash CD there. Like I had to do that. Tower Records. Got the yellow bag with the red lettering. Tower Records is gone now. For all the young people that don't know, but it was the record store. We went to like Buckingham Palace, you know, and to the London Eye. But this trip, we didn't do any of that because we knew people. Now we know people that live there, that are musicians or in the arts world in some way.
In the culture.
Yeah. Yes, and our merch company, the Sublime Merch Company, which we just broke into a year and a half ago. Can you believe that?
Seems like it's been around longer.
Not in London, not in
That's
Europe.
crazy.
And it's called Merch Traffic, which is part of Live Nation. So we went and had a big meeting there, and the guys that worked there are great. We actually hung out with them a couple of nights later, and made lifelong friendships with them. And they let me loot their warehouse, not their warehouse, their showroom. Like they work with a lot of bands like Wu-Tang and David Bowie. I mean, it was just so rad. And so then that's the fashion world.
Yeah.
Then we have musician friends, and they're in the reggae world, and it was just really cool.
DJ friends, everybody.
DJ friends,
everywhere,
dancers, graffiti artists. It was amazing. It was a whole different London this time.
Yeah.
Tattoo artists, it was really cool.
That's so cool. Do you think you liked the first time you went or the second time?
I loved the first time I went, but the second time it was completely different. And I will not let 22 years go by again. Like I want to go there every year.
Ah, okay.
I love it there.
Annual trip. Maybe we can go next time.
Yes, you guys have to. I'll tell you all the cool stuff. It's just so cool in London.
I love when you come back and you tell stories. I'm like, I literally need to be there. It makes me want to go so bad.
Well, you're going to the Philippines. So
I am going to the Philippines. I'm going on Friday.
I'm so excited for you.
Excited.
We're going to live vicariously through you. I'm so excited.
Yes, I can't wait to come back and tell you all about it.
I
will. Okay. Well, I'll send you pictures while I'm there. Yeah.
Oh, I bet the shopping's there. Oh, I bet the shopping is so good there.
I'm very excited.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be in Manila.
There's a tribal shop in the Philippines. I think it's in Manila.
Really?
The owner of Tribal Clothing, which is a San Diego company, and it's the Urban Street Clothing, is Bobby. And Bobby's like, I call him the Godfather. He's been in San Diego, part of San Diego fashion scene. If you can call it fashion, I do. It's like the lowrider culture.
Yeah.
But he's been a part of it for decades, and he's got a shop there now.
That's
so
really cool.
Tribal Clothing.
Yeah, I'll have to write it down.
Yeah.
We'll talk after.
How cool is that?
No, that's
so
really
cool.
fun.
And he started in his garage in Imperial Beach, which is like the last beach before you cross the border into Mexico. So.
What's your favorite color?
Green.
Okay.
Like Jolly Green Giant.
Maybe I'll bring you back something.
Okay.
Yeah. Green. That kind of green? Okay, I got it. I'm going to remember that. Yeah. That's so fun. Okay. Oh, yay. I know I've seen you DJ. Like you've like mixed stuff before. Do you play any other instruments?
No. For as into music I am, and like one of my tattoos right here. A lot of people don't know what that is, but that's called an adapter. You put that in the smaller record, which is called the 45, the vinyl, and you pop that in the middle so it'll play on your record player. Because some of them come where it's molded, where it has the tiny hole, but most of them had the big open one, and you pop in they were always yellow plastic. Tower Records used to have a jar of them at the register.
How cool!
And so it's my religion. For as much as I am into music, I never had a desire to sing or play, but and DJing, I just started doing it about 6 years ago, and I got kind of jumped into it.
Yeah.
Unwillingly.
How did that happen?
Oh my gosh, that's a really long story, but a roundabout way, there's a band called the Agrolites that I adore. They're they call themselves dirty reggae. They're like kind of more like a rock steady, faster beat, a reggae with ska, but they're for local California band, Southern California. And the lead singer Jesse, went up to 6 years ago, went up to his and his wife's house in Corona, and we were hanging out, listening to music all night, playing records. And he goes, "You know what, Mama, try." Because I'm like, I don't have a turntable. I haven't had a turntable since I was like 20.
Yeah.
My mom ran it over by accident. That's another story. She did.
Like,
by accident. We were
it
moving.
wasn't okay.
But I kept all my vinyl over the years.
Okay,
my old vinyl, but I didn't really collect because vinyl went out for a while. And thank God it's back. There's nothing like listening to music on vinyl.
I have so many records.
Because your dad's my homeboy. And
yes. I grew up on Sublime, no doubt. That was my first concert. My first 4 concerts I went to were all No Doubt.
Yeah, so good live. So good live. She's coming in concert, Gwen Stefani.
Really?
Yes.
When?
Soon. Like really soon. I think it's like.
I want her and Jake to play together. I want them to play together. So yes. Oh my gosh.
To redo Saw Red. It would be
so huge. Incredible.
So incredible. So incredible, but we'll see. We're working on it.
Hopefully, cross your fingers.
I know, everybody. And I'll let you know what the count. Because if you guys want to go, I'll try and get us tickets.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's up here at Irvine Meadows, or it's in Anaheim. But
I'm always down to see Gwen. I love her.
She has her Harajuku dancers. But anyways, so I forget what we were talking about.
We were talking about.
You forget too.
No.
Sorry.
We were talking about DJing.
So Jesse, the singer of Agrolites, he said, I've got an amp for you and some speakers, and I think you should start DJing. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I don't have a turntable. Yeah. So I called Eric Wilson, who's the bass player of Sublime, and he's like my brother. And when I was driving home from Corona, I'd have to pass through his house. And he collects instruments he has over the years. He's got like a whole like shack full of different instruments. I knew he'd have to have this turntable laying around. He didn't want. So I called him. He goes, "Yeah, I got one laying around somewhere. Just stop by on your way home." So I get there. Hi. And he starts unplugging a turntable. And I'm like, "Thank you so much." And then he hands it to me. And then he turns around and starts unplugging another turntable and a mixer. And I'm like, "Oh, no, I only need one." And he goes, "Well, I'm not trying to be a DJ." I go, "Well, neither am I." And he goes, "Just take it." And they're the good techniques, DJ turntables. And so okay. And I went home and I'm like, this is really cool. But still didn't really think about it. I don't know how to DJ. My boyfriend now is like a real DJ. Yeah. And I was just intimidated by it. And so then Record Store Day is a newish kind of thing that happens now twice a year. It happens around Black Sunday after Thanksgiving and in April. And it was started by a bunch of vinyl nerds, vinyl junkies, probably 15 years ago for the mom and pa shops, which were the ones that the holdouts after vinyl kind of disappeared. They were still selling vinyl, even though there was the younger people
weren't anywhere else.
Like they were downloading in an instant. Now it's back.
CDs were coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so this group of people started Record Store Day, where they would different groups that were going to put something out on vinyl. So the criteria is that it has to be something they've never had on vinyl, a new release, or like a reprint of something that's never been on vinyl, and they could be a part of it. And it's just grown and grown over the years. Yeah. And so about 7 years ago, 8, maybe 10 years ago, I begged Universal Records, please, we have got to do vinyl. And they were hesitant because it was still so new. Yeah. I'm like, we've got to be a part of Record Store Day at least once a year, just put something out. And they finally gave in and did it. And the first year it was Ja Won't Pay the Bills, which was one of their independent records they did when they had their Skunk Records before they signed. And that's the criteria. It has to be something that's never been on vinyl. It sold out in like 20 minutes. I mean, they only give each record store, and it can't be a chain big one. Yeah. It's a mom and pa's. They give each one like maybe, I think, 20 or 30 records. It sold out so fast. And the number one that year, we were number 2 that year nationwide. And the number 1 was the Star Wars soundtrack. Oh, so crazy,
that's so funny.
And so Dougie Boyce, which is DJ Product, one of Brad's homeboys' best friends, and he's was in a group called Head PE, a really hard rock group. He was on the road with him for like 20 years. He now lives in Ocean Beach in San Diego, and I adore him. And I always tried to go wherever he would always DJ at one of the local mom and pop shops on Record Store Day live. And I'd always try and go where he was because we're a part of it now. And so he goes, well, we were going to Feel It Records, which is downtown in the Gaslamp. He goes, meet me there. He goes, bring some of your favorite records and I'll play them. And I was thinking, that'd be so cool because I haven't played them in like 30 years because my turntable got ran over when I was 20. So I pulled out my favorite ones that hadn't had a needle on them in that long. And so I go to the record store and I'm standing there holding my records and it's packed and people milling around. And he gets on the microphone. He goes, I'm going to take a little break, but hey, Mama Troy, you want to DJ? And I go, no. And he goes, come on. And I'm like, what? No, I've never ever done that. Like, I know how to put a needle on the record, but what? And I reluctantly went over there to do it and put the record on, put the needle on, and that just instant, like with the headphones and seeing people turn around, light up, like, oh, I love this song. Yeah. I was hooked.
Yeah, so, sharing that music, like playing something and having people go, it's
and
probably
stuff that you love so much, you know. So I do more like a punky reggae style. Like, I'm not good yet at mixing or fading in and out or all that. And I'm learning. I don't practice enough, some people say, but it's fun. And the times I have DJed, it's just so fun and infectious. But I do vinyl, and I've had those situations where somebody comes up and requests a song. I'm like, oh, but I didn't bring it tonight. This is vinyl, and they don't believe me. They put a $20 bill on the turntable. I'm like, but I really didn't bring it. I'm like, sorry, and they get mad at you, or they put their drink down on your turntable. It's a trip, and I'm thinking, was I like that? All those years of dancing, going to clubs, I'd be like, play this song, and they go, oh, I didn't bring it tonight, or oh, I'll play it the next song. Yeah, and I was that person. So I'm getting payback sometimes, but it's so fun. I love it. And I got my turntables that was built. My whole system was built by friends. So Dougie, DJ Product, he became my sensei, my mentor. And he kind of walked you through it.
And I'm sure your boyfriend now, what's his name?
DJ Unite.
DJ Unite. He's probably helped you a lot.
Yeah, he's helped me a lot too. But in the beginning, no, because I didn't want him to. That wasn't why we were together. But now it's cool, and we go record shopping a lot.
That's so fun.
Record digging, and so it's fun. It keeps you young, and it's like time traveling. When you listen to a song, it can take you right back to an emotion or a feeling or when you heard it the first time. Yep. And there's so many stories behind so many songs. So
absolutely.
It's the only thing that keeps me sane right now is listening to music during the whole post-COVID stuff and all the weirdness.
Our world is so crazy right now. It's been
the
very
music
hectic.
Has always kind of kept, my scene kept us like out of the mainstream. Mm-hmm. And we like it that way.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like the one percenters, and the music's the anthem of it, and the soundtrack to your whole life. And so it's kind of takes me away whenever I listen to music from all this craziness that's going on. And I hope, things settle down for everybody. It's nuts how quickly it just turned around. It turned into something.
It was a lot, especially after COVID. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, there's no better feeling than being backstage. Like when we went, I think when we all went to the Long Beach Double All-Stars concert, like just being in that crowd and sharing.
And we're family.
Yes,
it's your whole other family.
It's different,
through music. It's like I always say, it's a wonderful, magical musical world. I've met so many people through music, and so many connections. And then my friends I've had forever, like with your dad and our crew, and now all you kids are you guys are like right away just family.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't grow up around each other, but we always knew about each other's kids. Yeah. And then once you all met, like the kids,
it was like we like clicked like that. It was crazy.
It's so cool.
I remember hanging out there, and Jacob was like, "This is like." I've never related to somebody so quickly in my entire life.
It's like you guys.
We grew up the same way.
Each other forever.
Yes.
It was so cool.
Since we were babies.
So cool.
Literally. What are you most proud of?
Wow, that's a good one.
Thanks.
Wow. I'm proud of being 52 that I made it this long. Or am I 53? What year is it?
2023.
I'm 53. Oh my God. But I'll never lie about my age because I think about the crazy stuff we did when we were younger because we were part of a scene that was different and defiant and punk rock. I mean, we used to go to this spot down in Tijuana called Iguanas. Uh-huh. Yes, Iguanas. That place was nuts. And, we saw punk rock shows and reggae shows and just craziness and just getting over there and not remembering how we got back. And yeah, exactly. And just mobbing and, making it back. And like all the stuff we did, because we were considered in the late 80s, early 90s, the 80s, latchkey kids. That's a term that we were called because at that time, our parents in the 70s, if you're born in the 70s and until like the mid 80s, nobody owned their own car a new car. Nobody owned a new car. They didn't own their own house. Everyone rented and both parents had to work because it was after the whole inflation and all that stuff. It was just after Vietnam War during the 70s. It was rough times. Not until the 80s and the whole yuppies and all, everyone getting business-like. But us kids ran around, did whatever the hell we wanted because our parents were at work. Yeah. So latchkey meant, they gave you had to keep a hold of your key because you had to let yourself in. We walked to school by ourselves. We walked home. Now kids get dropped off. God forbid Johnny walks home from school,
Not allowed to do that anymore.
It's like cutthroat. Yeah. Oh my God, dropping your kid off at school. It's like crazy. So, I mean, I don't even know, like my kids get in trouble for being late. I don't even know if we got in trouble for being late because we walked to school.
Yeah.
You know, lollygagging to school. I remember, you know, when it was raining, I'd go through every puddle, you know, and walk far. But so we were latchkey kids, and so our friends were our family. You know, our street friends that's who we ran with. And so I forget what the rest was.
What are you most proud of?
I think that is music. And still being here and still feeling it and not conforming. I didn't grow up too much. You know, I still have to grow up, but not conforming to where I'm a soccer mom and I'm just not even listening to music anymore. I remember my mom, when she got older, she didn't really listen to music, and they were my influences. My mom and dad always had vinyl. My dad was Hendrix and all that rad 70s rock, and my mom was Motown and soul. She listened to Stevie Wonder and Bretton Wood and all that good stuff. And there was always vinyl, and like her friends would be over on the weekends. She'd be like, "Honey, put some records on." And the old turntables, the ones she had, you could stack. Do you guys remember those? You could stack records, and then one at a time would pop down, and I would just stare at the record covers. And so it's just sad that she lost that. She's like, "Oh, I don't really listen to music anymore. I don't ever want to be like that."
Yeah.
You know, but I always
want to stay true to who you are.
And now it's influenced my kids. You know, three Christmases ago, they all got together and they found Kate Bush on vinyl and got that for me for Christmas. And I was crying. I'm like, you guys, you guys paid attention and you knew. And they love her now. So that influence, and it all goes back to music. I feel like it's a whole other religion. It's so strong and powerful and essential. And how sad to be one of those people that just doesn't listen to music.
Yeah, we need to get you a sign that says music is my religion. Exactly. I feel like that's like literally just really is. You. Really when I went to one of Jake's concerts, I think one of the ones that he played. Beach Life Festival.
That one's in Redondo Beach. Yes. Or is it Hermosa? Or Manhattan. One of those beaches. One of the beaches. But it's awesome.
But when we there, it had this huge sign that said that, and I was like, "That is so." Yes,
it was. See that. I was there. I didn't see that.
No, yeah, it was so.
I got to DJ at that one the year before.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
I was in one of they have these tents around because they have 3 stages, and so I don't know how they do it. They stagger between each group or each headliner. Each person. And so when it was my turn, I was in what was like the art tent, and I went on right as the Marley Brothers all went on stage. And I'm like, whatever. But there were still people that were, you know, listening and dancing. And I mean, every song I played, somebody would come up and go, "This is my favorite song," or skank out in front of me. Yeah. And it was so fun. But I got to do it. And Jake performed too, and he did an acoustic set. But it was, and you just see everybody. It's like family reunion every time, like you were saying backstage at the Garden Amp.
You walk in, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I know this person. I know this person. I know this person."
And that was so cool at the Garden Amp. It was Capital I, Long Beach Sub All Stars, and there was like the reunion Capital I, and so all the homies were there, and it was like a memo went out: bring your teenagers or bring your kids. But it wasn't. But everyone brought their kids. I mean, there was some of my friends that were out moshing with their son.
Yep,
it was crazy.
I know.
I mean, how many other things that families are into can they do that with their parents?
Yeah,
it's so fun. I mean, it's so cool. I think that keeps us young forever.
Yeah.
So
I know. Everybody was passing. I was seeing dads pass joints to their kids. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is literally my family. This is so fun."
Because you guys are all grown up now. It's a trip. It's just like
we get to hang out and be a part of the
one of my favorite sayings
craziness
is from a quote from Jimi Hendrix, and it's supposedly what they found written on a piece of paper next to him when they found him passed away dead. You know, sad, but I just think about his body of music by the time he was 28. It's insane. Yeah. But on the piece of paper it said, "The story of life is a wink of an eye. The story of love is hello and goodbye until we meet again." And that's what I feel like. You know, it's a wink of an eye. You look back and how did that happen? How did that happen? You guys are all grown up now, and you're all awesome. So, and into music and into dance and subculture and being individuals, and you know, can't do it any other way. So good for you, honey. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Sorry, I know there's like really deep questions. Yeah, deep diving and everything. What is one thing that you want your kids to take away from you? Like, if you could teach them anything, what would that be?
Just to be true to themselves. I love that they got music from me, but also to be true to themselves, and to know that, you know, life, you should honor it, and you honor their memories, and you learn from the bad things that happen. Bad things have to happen, so you learn. Life isn't perfect like that. I mean, how boring.
Yeah.
You know.
True.
And
true.
Just keep growing, keep learning, and stay happy. Keep dancing. You know.
I will keep dancing. Promise.
Yes.
Pinky promise you.
Yes. Good.
Is there anything that you would go back and ever change, or do you?
I've thought about that before, but now that so many years have gone past from the major things that happened in my life, that I can't see it any other way. Yeah. You know, things happen for a reason, they say.
100%.
The way they're supposed to.
I always say that.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
You may not even get the lesson at the time, and it's devastating, and you're pissed off at the world, but like
you'll get it years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You will get it. And it's the reason why it happens. So no, there's nothing I would change.
Good.
Except for maybe meeting Jimi Hendrix. Or I wish I could go back in time and hang out with my mom and dad when they were in their 20s.
Yeah, that's true.
As a friend. Yeah. That would have been so cool. They were cool.
We're gonna do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I want to know 3 things that you're grateful for, 2 things that you love about yourself, and 1 thing you're looking forward to.
Oh my God, that's tough. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
3 things that you're grateful for.
My kids, my health, my life, music.
Yay! Okay, and 2 things you love about yourself.
I love clothing, my fashion, and music again.
Music, I love it.
Yeah.
And 1 thing you're looking forward to this week.
This week, the full moon tonight.
It's a
super moon.
I was just reading about it, and my mom had sent me a TikTok, and she's like, "There's gonna be a full moon." She was telling me all about it.
And it's a super moon because super moons are rare because it's when it's full moon. I think when a full moon happens twice in a month, and it's gonna be the closest to the Earth. I think that's super also.
That's cool.
It's a blue moon is when it happens twice in a month, and that's why they say once in a blue moon. And it's a super moon, so it's gonna be huge. So everyone go outside tonight
and watch, see the blue moon
before.
Yeah.
Before then, and you see this today, but I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to just being to the beach and the weather and just loving life.
Good. I'm so happy.
Yay!
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your.
I'm so happy that you called me.
Yeah, it's just for sharing your life and being vulnerable and talking about everything. I love learning about you, and I love you.
I love you.
And I love that after all these years, we're still family. It makes me so happy that just the way everything worked out.
You can't get rid of us.
Nope, not ever. I would never want to. What?
No,
But no, seriously, I love you. That's crazy.